Welcome.
No, you'll hear the music.
Oh.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 36, year 2. Today we're going to talk about my trip to Washington, D.C., my poker playing out there, as well as, the coronavirus, because that's all anyone wants to talk about. And we're going to have our special guest, Mr. Miami John Cernuto, with over 500 career poker cashes. So stay tuned. The Mouthpiece is next. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 36, year 2. All right, so pretty much what's been going on is, went to Washington, D.C. last week. Went to go play a little poker, and I had a White House visit where we were able to basically get a tour of the West Wing. That was pretty incredible, seeing all the history in there, seeing the Oval Office, seeing basically where all government takes place. The pictures on the wall were pretty crazy. I really was very, very impressed with the White House. But let's clear back a little bit. I landed on Wednesday of last week, figuring I'd be in a lot of pain from the flight because my spinal cord injury causes the plane with the deep compression and the pressurization of the cabin just causes my pain to be in a lot worse. So I flew in Wednesday. I had a private game set up with a bunch of friends, some politicians, some cool people, some lawyers, a bunch of really kind of like, Washington, D.C. people, including the head of the RJC, Matt Brooks, one of my dear friends. We had it over at his house. And so I got in Wednesday, was in pain when I landed, ended up getting a massage to help get me out of pain, which worked pretty well. Then I woke up Thursday. Again, I wasn't feeling that good, but a lot better than I did Wednesday. Went over to Matt's house. He put on a great poker game for everybody. If you haven't seen a lot of footage from it, you can go check it out on the YouTube channel, in which I did a live feed from that little 5, 10, 25 game where I won 0 pots in like 5.5 hours, lost like 1,800. Was kind of happy about that, actually. And because I knew I was playing a quarter 50, 100 game on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So as it turned out, me losing that day was good because I won on Saturday and Sunday pretty good. The game was really good. They really hooked us up a really nice poker game. And I really think I'm living in the wrong town, that I need to move to Washington, D.C. to actually play poker because I think their best players might be worse than our worst players. But, they say I have an invitation of the game anytime I want. They play 2-3 days a week. So I'm thinking to myself, 2-3 days a week in games like this, I could definitely make a lot of money. So, I'm thinking about that. Of course, it would have to be after the World Series of Poker. We ended up watching the fight. The fight was, well, you guys watch what the fight was. It was a disaster. I originally, I'll never forget this, about a year ago when Fury and Wilder fought, and I was playing in Bobby's room, and everybody at the table had about $1 million on. Hi, Melissa. How are you? Everybody had like $1 million on Wilder, and it was like 325 to 1. I bet at like 1,000 to win 300, and I'm like, where'd you guys get this pick from? And we needed this miracle knockout to win, and got the knockdown in the 12th. And even then, after we got the knockdown and he got up, I didn't think we could win because we had to win 2 other rounds. And I don't think we won 2 other rounds. But we got the miracle push. And I said, next time they fight again, I'll bet every quarter I got on Fury. Well, you know, now that I have money management, I'm not crazy anymore. I decided I was going to bet 1,000 on Fury at like plus 140. And they all talked me off of it because, which is best that I didn't bet anyways, because if I bet, that just leads to me going down the rabbit hole and getting broke and doing things I shouldn't do. So, yeah, I'm going to post a lot of footage on the trip. I just need to do that. It'll hopefully be up the end of next week. So I definitely will have that out there. I'm waiting for my editor here, the guy I'm looking at right now.
You might be talking about the Florida trip, which we just
Well, no, not the Florida trip. They're talking about the one we just went on, you idiot.
We just started posting.
I know, but what about my Cabo trip? Have you put that up yet?
It has to go in order.
Oh, okay, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Editor over there. So, anyways, let's get back to what happened there in D.C. So, I end up not betting on the fight. I watched what I thought was going to happen, and I was a little bit aggravated for a while about not betting on it, but they're like, oh, the guy came in 20 pounds overweight, and he wouldn't take his shirt off. That's why the blind blew up, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he got the shit kicked out of him. That was one of the worst beatings I ever seen in my life. It was fun to watch. I did rather well on Friday and Saturday. Gave Phil a pretty good piece as he played pretty bad and was on Friday, and he lost what I thought was big on Friday, but he trumped that pretty good on, no pun intended, on Sunday. But I'm not going to name any figures. He just didn't have a good weekend. I ended up doing somewhat well. Could have been a lot better, though, as I was up 10,000 on Sunday. That's after the long day at the White House, and I was kind of dominating this game where I didn't think I could lose. And Phil wanted me to go to the main game, which was he was kind of buried in, and the game was really good. So I gave Phil 20% of the first game I was in and gave him 40% of the second game I was in. And then I got 10,000 in with Queens versus King Queen. And the guy says, I just want to play a pot against you. And he asked me to run 2 boards, and I didn't know he had King Queen, but the first board came deuce 6 9 3 King, and Phil goes, take it, Mike. And the second board comes deuce 5 9 King King, and Phil goes, take it, Mike. And the guy turned over King Queen. He had 3 outs. He had all 3. So after that hand, I quit. I won 10 and lost 10, but Phil had 20% of me in one game and 40% in the other, so that gave me a 2,000 profit for the day. So I would take it, and I ended up leaving DC with a pretty good win for me. Kind of needed it because As I was leaving, I was in debilitating pain. My whole leg gave out at the airport. I couldn't walk at all. The whole pain on the flight was disastrous. Came home, could not walk at all. Got a 2.5 hour massage, still couldn't walk at all. And then I went to the doctor and got me a prednisone pack, a steroid pack, to relieve the inflammation that was pressing on my spinal cord, which that has helped tremendously. And the last day and a half, things have been pretty good. That's a little too high for me. So now I was planning on going to LAPC. I had my room all reserved, and I canceled it Tuesday evening because I didn't think, well, they told me if I don't cancel it by Wednesday, they could charge me for a one-night room, 24-hour in advance. So I had to make sure I canceled it because I didn't think there was any way I could possibly play tournament for 5 days in the shape I was in pain-wise. So welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, it's Brian Strahl. How are you, man?
What's up, Brian? Hey, man. Long time no hear. What have you been up to?
I was nothing. I'm fucking around clicking here on YouTube,
Yeah.
and I see Mouthpiece.
Hey.
And I see you on there talking live, and I'm like, let me call in and see how this knucklehead's doing.
Well, yeah, man. Long time no see. How you doing, man? How the kids?
Everybody's good. A lot of kids.
Yeah.
You know, living my life, and everything's wonderful. No complaints.
Yeah, not playing any poker anymore, are you?
I play on all the Jersey sites. I don't
yeah.
I don't play live in the Borgata. I've lost a taste of live poker. You know, I never really liked tournaments. And,
Right.
I work a lot.
Yeah, that's good, man. Getting out. Well, you know, you're out of you got a job. You're out of poker. You have a life. That's good to have a life. I tell people all the time. People ask me about become a professional poker player. I tell them, don't do it. It's a miserable life. But
Sure
yeah, you would
I've never
definitely
been happier.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I've cut my poker playing down a lot. So I understand.
Good. Well, I'm glad to see you still around kicking. I actually got a cool story. I got really lucky. So about 7 or 8 years ago. About 7 or 8 years ago. I'm going back and forth between poker, sports, slots. You fucking name it. And I was like,
yeah, you're a
I can't do this
degenerate.
no more.
Yeah.
I'm a total degenerate. I still bet sports, but I'm like I can't do this no more. So I opened up. I got involved in the subprime loan business. So I had no money, zero. And I owed everybody money. And,
I remember.
So I borrowed $40,000 from my parents, and I opened up a little sales office. And then 2 years later, we made the Inc. 500, number 155, and now I have over 200 employees. And
Wow.
I own a small little subprime bank. Make good money and just go to work every day and just have a nice house, live a normal life. And
Dude, that's great, man. That's great.
I haven't played video poker or blackjack in at least 5 years, but I do bet a lot on sports. I bet 10, 15, 20,000 on sports.
Wow. Well, I gave up all that. I gave up sports. I gave up everything, and unfortunately, I got this real bad injury about 5.5 years ago, and it's kind of derailed me. But I'm working
What happened
hard.
to you? I didn't know you got hurt.
Yeah, it's a long story. I talk about it all the time. I just had a severe spinal cord injury that was an injury related. Happens to 1 in 3 million people. Then I developed something called intercostal neuralgia, which happens to 1 in 3 million people. So it's like 1 in 3 billion people, my injury. So
Is it related to sitting in the poker chair all the time?
No, it's my mid-back. It's a thoracic spine. It's just a rare thing that happened, and it's just debilitated my life for 5 years. But I got a spinal cord stimulator, which helped with the pain for all of last year after they put it in, but seems like all the pain's come back, and I've been living a nightmare lately, but trying my hardest to deal with it. And
Sorry to hear that.
it's all good, man. So kind of trying to enjoy life a little bit. I just canceled my trip to the LAPC. I was just telling everyone because I was in so much pain. I didn't think I could make it 5 days, so I'm skipping that tournament. I'm going to go to Bay 101 and then the World Series of Poker. So that's what.
I wish you luck. I might
it,
actually come out to Vegas this year. Just to mess around. I probably won't play any poker.
Yeah.
I may play the Players Championship. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. DM me or direct message me your number, and I'm sure I still have it if it's the same. But if not,
Same number.
Okay.
Same number.
I'll hit you up, man. All right, gotta go. Take care.
All right,
Bye.
all right. Next time you're in AC, hit me up. We'll go have a meal or something.
You got it, my man. Good hearing from you, Brian. Take care.
Later, pal. I'll see you at text.
You got it. Yeah, so that was Brian Straw. We go back a long ways. We used to play poker back in the days, back at Borgata and AC, and he was a real degenerate. I'm glad to hear he's got his life together. Well, we got another call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Is Mike.
Hey, Mike. This is Derek the Top Wop from your chat. How are you?
Hey, Derek. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, good, man. Thanks. A long-time fan. I really appreciate you taking my call.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I live in the Bay Area. I play at Lucky Chances, and I know you said before that the 5-10 no-limit cash games are really hard to make any money in. Can you talk a little bit more about that and maybe how, like 2-5 is easier game, or they even have 1-3 no limit?
It's not that.
What are your thoughts?
It's the fact that everybody who's grinding a living are playing 5, 10, 10, 20 games, 2, 5, 5, 10. And so you got people that aren't giving money away. I've said this for years. I'll say it to the day I die. I said it a year after I become a professional 24 years ago. The higher you play, the better the game, because the people who are playing higher limits have a lot of money and they're gambling. They don't care. Okay, where when you're playing against people that are all trying to make a living, nobody's giving away any money. So that makes those games the tougher to play. So even the game I played in the home game on Thursday night, it was a 5, 10 and a quarter, and nobody was giving any money away. They were all nitty, but when they're all nitty, what are you going to do? You can open up a lot more pots, but when you're only going to pick up the antes, because, how many antes can you pick up? So then they call you, then they have you beat, then you have to check. And it's just, you want to be in games where people give action. And if you're not in games like that, it's tough to grind against.
Right. So what limits then would you suggest for no limit, like higher limits where maybe you can make more money?
I've been playing 100, 200 lately, but playing for about 20% of myself. So, but the games, I'd rather play for 20% of myself in a 100, 200 game than sit in a 10, 20 game and play for 100% of myself, because I know that 100, 200 game with the people I'm playing with are a lot worse. Does that make sense? So I'm just trying to get myself in the best games that give me the best chance to win, and that's what I do. So on my whole life, I never did that. Now I do that, and it's been profitable for me. I've won 32 out of the last 34 sessions, but I've always put myself in very good games and good spots. And it sucks I've pieced myself out so much, because if not, I'd be out of debt right now. But it's not a big deal. But at least now I'm on my feet and just trying to get people paid. So we'll see what happens.
Well, great. Well, I really appreciate you taking my call, Mike, and continued good luck and success to you. I'm really looking forward to reading your new book when it comes out.
You got it, buddy. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Okay, good night.
All right. So anyways, so I was supposed to go to the LAPC. I was in terrible pain on Tuesday. So I started this prednisone pack. It's helped me a lot the last 2 days, but it lowers your immune system, and with coronavirus and all the other viruses out there, my immune system being low, being amongst people for 5 days with a low immune system just a good idea. So I canceled my trip. I'm missing the LAPC for only the second time in 24 years. It's one of the best events. It's a freeze out 10K buy-in. Last year I finished 27th in it. Not going this year is really kind of a downer for me. So it is what it is. But I'll be over at the Bay 101. Hang on one second, guys. This fucking motherfucker. So can't get comfortable here. It's like too high, too low, too high, too low. So I'll be at the Bay 101 at the next month for the Shooting Stars tournament. So that's kind of what happened. Why I'm missing the LAPC this week. For everybody that expected me to be there, I'm pretty down about not being there, as well as a lot of people are about me not being there. But I have to put my health first, and my body probably just wasn't up to playing poker Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days in a row. I hadn't played 4 days in a row since even at the World Series. I don't think I played 4 days in a row once. Because even if I got to day 3 of an event, I would take the next day off. So, or if I went 2 days, I would take a day off. So 4 days in a row of poker, I probably haven't done in 4 or 5 years. And you add that with the White House visit, in which they kind of pick you up on the corner. It takes them 2 weeks to do background checks on you to make sure that you're okay to go in to the West Wing, and they kind of pick you up and they walk you in and they give you a tour. So that was a long walk there. Then we went to lunch over. Phil has a chef. I don't even forgot his name. Something Andreas, one of the best chefs in the world. He hooked us up at one of his restaurants. So we went there, and I was feeling good. And then they're like, let's go to the Lincoln Memorial. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I could walk up the Lincoln Memorial. But the driver, we had a limo driver all day that took us everywhere that the hotel hooked us up with. So I decided to go to Lincoln Memorial. He pulled us right to the front, so probably had to walk about 50 feet and then up the steps. Walked the 50 feet. I felt fine, and I said, go slow up the steps. Well, my phone fell out of my pocket, and I bent over. And I think when I bent over, I twisted my something. And the next thing you know, I got to the top of the steps. I was in terrible pain. And then I couldn't even walk down the steps. My whole entire, something swelled up where it was pressing on my spinal cord. And I was felt like I was almost paralyzed like I was before my surgery. Couldn't walk at all. They had to help me back to the vehicle. I got back to the vehicle, and they wanted to go to the Martin Luther King memorial, I think it was, and Phil and my girlfriend went there. I then got out of the car, and I was able to walk because I guess sitting took the pressure off my spinal cord, but I had to go pee, so I had to go pee in the bush. But they went and took all the pictures. I had to miss that. Came back to my room. I was in debilitating pain. It took me 3 hours to get out of pain. I was supposed to start playing with them at 7 p.m. I got back to my room at 6:30. I did not leave to go play till 10 o'clock at night. It took me I don't even know how I even got out of pain. I put some pain patches on. Somehow got out of pain, and I didn't want to miss the poker game they set up because they said the Sunday night was going to be the best, which it was. Like I said, I was up 10,000, and then I lost 10,000. Queens versus King Queen, got it all in pre. So I could have had a monster week, but I ended up, making a little bit of money, so that was pretty good. So that was my trip to D.C. I wish I could take pictures for everybody, but they wouldn't allow anybody to have pictures in the West Wing area, But pictures in history, looking back at all the presidents we had, all the different people in the Oval Office, how they decorate the Oval Office, how they decorate the West Wing. It was pretty cool. I was really surprised how small it all is and how old it all is. I know it's the White House and all, but you would think they would do a little upgrading and make it a little more modern, but they didn't really do that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. One of the coolest things I ever did, actually. I met some people that are pretty cool that I will bring up on a later date. I don't really want to get into that. I don't want to really get into politics right now. Let's talk a little bit about this coronavirus that everybody's going crazy about. And then we're going to have Miami John Cernuto on. We're going to do an interview with him. I'm going to actually text him right now. Okay, and so let's discuss the. I mean, I went out crazy on Twitter today. I apologize to everybody. I don't know why I engaged with like everybody today. It was that's why I don't go on Twitter. It's such an unhealthy place. It makes turns the average normal person into a lunatic, which it did to me today. And I just don't understand why everybody wants. Well, I do understand, but I'm not going to give my thought process on it because people think I'm crazy. But there's a reason why they're purposely starting a panic on the coronavirus. And if anybody doesn't see why, then they're just not engaged. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. There's been one reported case in the United States, and as of an hour ago, that person came back negative for it. The 42 that came off that Japanese cruise ship are quarantined, and the 14 that were in Wuhan that were flown out are quarantined. So there's been no other cases in the United States. That's because Trump shut down the border January 24th and hasn't allowed any flights in since then from China. And I'm wondering if he's going to be shutting down the border from Italy or other places here shortly. But people are in a widespread panic because that's what our news media does. Because panic gets people to view into the news media. So people that view in creates money for them, and they don't care about the public. So I don't even want to get into that because it gets too aggravating for me. But it's, well, I know it's to make Trump look bad, but I don't want to say it. So you just said it for me. So anyway, we got another call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
What up?
Am I live on here on YouTube?
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Oh, man, I was just calling. I was just watching. I was going to call and just ask you some questions, man.
All right, man. What's your name?
Josh.
Hey, Josh.
From Minnesota.
Cool, man. What's your question for me?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I was just going to ask you a couple different ones, like biggest degenerate gambler. And like your biggest wins and losses in poker and in like sports betting.
All right. Well, probably the biggest degenerate is probably Chino. Guy I just had on, Brian Straw. I hadn't talked to him in a while. He used to be one of the biggest degenerates. My biggest cash win was $400,000 on high stakes poker. My biggest cash loss was $183,000. And what was the other question?
Damn.
What was the other question?
Oh, and then like sports betting one thing.
Biggest sports betting game. I bet $100,000 once. I laid 6.5. They lost by 30. I bet $50,000 once. I laid 6.5. They lost by 30. Those are my two biggest sports bets. I bet 20,000 a zillion times. I don't even know how many I lost. But I laid 3-1 7 times in my life on a money line, and I lost all 7. So I wasn't the sharpest. I wasn't the sharpest sports bettor in the world. So I'm kind of glad that I got that. So.
Dang, man, that's crazy. Oh yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It's first time I've actually watched you live on here, and I just kind of remembering back. I've been watching poker since like WPT1 I had on DVDs.
Yeah.
And stuff, So I mean, I just remembering all these hands, like that hand that you played Eric Seidel in.
Oh yeah, that was nice. That $174,000 pot where he put in like 70.
Didn't you flop 2 pair on him?
Yeah.
River 2 pair bigger?
Yeah, he put in 76,000 with 1 pair. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I would have took insurance, but I didn't know what insurance was. And then I was like...
I know that.
Yeah,
because there wasn't Tony G at your table.
Yeah. He wanted me to take insurance. I'm like, well, what's insurance? And then they're like...
That's who wanted you to watch that hand.
I would have took it in a minute, But,
yeah, for sure. And that's what you said right after that, too. And then you went back and you were just like... I just felt for you, dude.
Yeah, that was 2007. That was back when I was all negative, Mike.
I hear you. I've watched. Like I said, I watched. Like there ain't that many characters in poker anymore, like there used to be. Like Antonio, he used to hold over Phil, and then he'd beat him in a pot, and then he'd do the wave in his face.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, most people, it's like now the new generation they're all about analytics and math and.
There ain't like it used to be like it was you could talk during hands, it seemed like, and like the kiddie game down the street, I don't know.
What's funny is they're all about math and analytics, but they're all scared of the coronavirus, and if they do the math, there's like 0.003% of them getting it, yet they're all tweeting about going to get ready for a worldwide epidemic because it's just so, and I've just been going crazy today. Like you guys, basic math, you're all fear-mongering morons. So I just tell it like it is. It's just like, really? Like I literally got a better chance of fucking get hit by a car when I walk out in front of my house than fucking getting the coronavirus. And then they have these morons laying 12-1 that the World Series is going to be canceled. 12-1.
Yeah,
if I had like 2.5 million, if I had 2.5 million, I would post it right now to pick up my 200,000 in 3 months. That is the freest money in the history of mankind. Like
of all time.
They make $100 million at the World Series. So the true odds of them canceling it are about 100 million to 1. They don't give up any fucking thing.
Because they're scooping every last dollar.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So 12-1. These fucking, and I went crazy on Twitter today. I was just I mean, I had to get off. I was just going crazy because people are just so fucking stupid. And it's just like, they're stupid. They listen to our fucking corrupt media, right? That fucking wants to spread fear. Why do they want to spread fear? Because fucking they have Bernie Sanders on the top of their fucking ticket that they know can't win. And so they have to spread fear to make the economy crash. Don't get me started. I know what's going on, right? It's a joke.
Oh, not that. The rant that I like.
There you go. But that's a fact, right? That's a fact. I've been saying it privately for 3 months. That's something that they were going to try. And when it thing first got diagnosed in like the first of the year, I go, watch, they're going to try and weaponize this. But 3 months from now, during the election, and sure enough, 3 months later, if I didn't say it, then I wouldn't believe it. But I had said that 3 months ago. So I really believe that. So, anyways, I don't want to go political right now because I get too fucking wound up, man. Because politics is evil. So
I feel ya.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call. I gotta call my man Miami John. I gotta do an interview with him, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for calling in.
That was awesome, dude. I appreciate it. I'll keep watching. I'm rooting for you, bro.
You got it, buddy. Take care. All right.
Later.
Hey. All right, so we're going to give a Miami John Cernuto a call. This guy's been doing good in tournament poker for 3 decades. He's got a first and a second this year at the LAPC. Hold on, we have one more call. Let's just answer it. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Mike, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. Who's this?
This is Jam.
James. What's up?
That's my initials. My name's John, though.
John. Okay. JM. What up, brother?
Oh, nothing much, man. Been a big fan of yours for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just wanted to tell you how good that book. A buddy of mine let me read it. I'm not a big reader or anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm not somebody that reads a lot of books, but
Yeah.
Check Raising the Devil. It was just one of those kind of books that you pick it up, you can't put it down. I read that book, and just when I started, I didn't quit till I was done.
Yeah,
it
I got
just-
hopefully my new book will be out by the World Series. It's called Poker, Pain, and Politics, How All Three Made Me a Better Person. So
Okay, yeah.
that's
I'm
going to
looking
be,
forward to the read.
it's kind of, I was going to do Check Raising the Devil 2, The Devil Raised Back, but this was just more fitting for kind of what my life's been through the last 9 years. So
Sure.
that's something that I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, I appreciate
Sure,
it, man.
sure. Yeah, like I said, been a big fan for a long time. I had to tell you a quick story yesterday, just what you would have done, but I was playing in a small cash game at a casino yesterday. It was a 1-2 game, and I play poker a lot, but not a lot, if that makes sense. I mean, like I said, I'm from Tennessee. When the circuit comes down to Tunica, I go down there, and I got lucky and won a ring once. But anyhow, I love the game, but just don't get a lot of time to play. But yesterday, I was going to see if you think this was a complete bonehead move or if I was playing scared. It was a 1-2 game, and I had 8-4 diamonds, 8-4 suited, and so I limp. Like you're playing the way the table plays. But
Right.
anyhow, long story short, there was a real aggressive guy 2 seats to my right, and one other guy, he limps. The guy to my right that's aggressive raises, and anyhow, I called a small raise. Flop comes 10-8-4, 2 hearts. I've got 8-4 diamonds. Okay.
Right.
First guy, he makes a pretty good sized bet about the size of the pot. This guy raises pretty big. I've got about 600 or so in my stack, and
So you
I
went
just
all
had
in.
a bad feeling. I've listened to you a lot. You talk about go with your gut, and
Yeah.
I folded. I
never
know I'm
fold.
ahead, but I folded.
Well, I mean,
said-
there's if you're up against a flush draw. I mean, I don't know. I'm never folding.
Well, I know it was going to be.
I just
the
would have
other
put it.
guy-
I just would have put it all in, and if I lost, I lost.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
if you're gonna play
I
that
was
dog
shorter
shit, you
stack.
can't fold it when you flop 2 pair. I mean, I'm not gonna
No,
lie to you.
but the problem was the guy, but it was really sick the way the hand turned out because the first guy bet, the next guy raises. The first guy made it 25, the next guy makes it 115, and I'm sitting there with, like I said, about 600 in my stack. So I know, and the other guy has me covered, so I know it's all in or fold. I know it's,
you got to
so
go.
I want to
all
risk.
in. You got to go all in.
600.
You got to go all in.
I do, but I decided
No
to fold.
buts.
I just had a bad
Whatever.
feeling.
So what
But
happened?
all right. Well, on the other guy, he moves over the top. He's all in. So they're all in.
Okay.
The guy to my right has aces.
Okay.
The other guy has Jack 10 of hearts.
Okay,
So
that's
at the
about what I
time, I'm
figured.
happy I folded even though I was ahead.
Well, I mean,
But naturally, a black 4 hit the turn.
well, of course it does. You fucking
so
idiot.
I would have been, I've always. But
Yeah.
anyway, it was just one of those moves where
Well,
I said.
I told you what they each had. I said one had an over pair and one had a pair and a flush draw. I told you that. I
Right,
didn't
right.
fucking-
I mean,
You know what I mean?
and I figured that. I said I'm gonna have to dodge a bunch of shit on the.
You ain't
turn
gonna have
in
to
the
dodge
river.
shit. You
And
got to
so-
dodge like 14 outs between 2 people. So you're like fucking
Right.
getting
if
2 to
it
1
adds
on your
up,
money,
no doubt,
even money. So get the fuck out of here. You
Right.
fucked up.
Right.
Take your fucking punishment.
Right.
Enjoy the money you lost. Get off my phone.
Right.
I'm done with you. I'll talk to you later. Thanks
All
for
right, bud.
calling.
Have a good one.
Later. All right.
While we're dialing up Cernuto, you should shout out some of the people saying nice stuff in the chat.
Fuck these people, man.
I like to hear that. Everybody's
What's up, everybody? Let's see. Let's see what's going on. People saying some nice things. All right. Yeah, Biden is running for Senate. I like that. Let's see.
say their names. They like
Sammy, I hope I'm right. Deep run in the World Series of Poker. I hope so. But according to the poker players, 12-1, the World Series is being canceled. That's what they were saying today on Twitter. These fucking morons. I just can't even believe these people. I mean, I wish I had money. I mean, I'm not going to lay 12,000 to win 1,000. I wish I had like $1 million to win, 1.2 to win 100,000, so I could really just take my free 100,000. But God, I mean, people who have money that don't want to. I mean, I would just go all in, all the money I had. If I had 10 million, I would lay 10 million and lay the 12 to 1 that the World Series is not going to be canceled. And part of that bet was as long as one event was played, that would be considered the World Series not being canceled. That's got to be a lot more odds than 12 to 1. It's the most joke of it all. Yes, we have to keep Bernie out of the White House. I agree 100%. I don't really care. I want Trump to win, but if he doesn't win, I'm just anyone but Bernie. So I really don't care. Another call. What up? What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece.
Hey, Mike, you got a second, or is Miami John on the other line?
I got a second. I'm going to be calling him in like 2 minutes.
Cool, buddy. Cool, buddy. Okay. My name's Jason. I'm calling from Virginia. First off, I just want to say I've been a big fan since the beginning, since I saw you on TV, man. And
I was just in your part of the woods last week, man.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, DC, I heard you talking about that.
Yeah, I was at the MGM Grand Harbor. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh yeah, the Boston. Yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking about. Did you go to the what is it? The Wynn just opened a spot.
No, I was there for the Chance for Life tournament that Phil was emceeing, and then I went down. I had a White House West Wing visit scheduled, so I went for that. Went for a private game. Played a lot of poker there down at the MGM Grand. It was pretty cool. So. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see. No, you just wanted to be one step closer to your man crush, Donald Trump in the White House. That's what it is.
Man, I was expecting to meet him, but he had to go to India. So I was going to meet him on Friday, but he had to. Then he scheduled a debate in Vegas when I left for here. So I didn't. So then I changed my White House visit to Sunday, and then I was hoping to meet him there, but then he had to go to India. So now I get to meet him in Vegas in like 2 weeks, but that's all right.
Oh, good shit, man! It'll be well worth the wait. Cool.
Yeah, it'll be cool, but it's it's not that important. But I mean, it's more important to my girlfriend than it is me.
No, it'll be fun, man. Yeah.
You are fake news.
Whatever.
Yeah. So,
well, yeah. I had a couple of questions for you if you had a second.
Yeah, I got to hurry up.
I'm not sure if you're able to read Skolansky. David Skolansky put a new book out. It's called Geeking, Grifting, and Gambling.
No.
He tells a lot of old school stories. It's a pretty badass book. I wanted to ask you specifically. Number one, do you have any kind of relationship with Skolansky?
Yeah, we're friends.
And number two, he wrote in that book. I didn't know this. Chip Reese used to manage the poker room at the Dunes.
Yeah, I knew that.
And that's where all the high stakes action used to go down in the 70s and 80s and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And Skolansky actually in this new book outs Chip Reese, and he says it flat out that he's one of the biggest poker cheats of all time. And he said he had shills in that game, and they were throwing signals and playing partners, and dealers were stacking decks and blatantly cheating.
I have no idea.
And he calls Chip outright as one of the biggest poker cheats of all time in his new book.
Really?
So I was wondering if you had any knowledge about that.
No knowledge of that. No knowledge of that. It's the first I've heard. But I mean, there's a lot of people that put a lot of people in a lot of games against a lot of bad players, even today. It's one of my big pet peeves about a lot of these private games that are being put together in casinos that I'm not allowed to play in, where people are putting 3-4 different people in and they're chopping up the live one's money, just plain straightforward.
So that shit's still going on to this day.
Yeah, it's been going on. So it just happens. I don't want to call it any names or bring it up right now.
I know. I didn't mean to put you out there like that. I was just wondering
if that happened. I haven't heard about it, but it happens nowadays, so it wouldn't shock me. So.
Yeah, I was shocked. It was a pretty bold statement. I mean, he's name dropping Chip Reese, one of the biggest names in poker of all time, and he's calling him just a blatant cheater. So I thought that was just really eye opening and shocking. I just wanted to get your opinion on
I'm
it.
not
But
gonna lie. It's
also,
the first time I've heard about anything negative about Chip.
Yeah.
And
yeah, me too. That's why I was so shocked, man. Me too.
But Chip saved my life.
But that's all right.
So I have nothing. But Chip was
I know.
responsible to
you
making
don't have to
sure
go,
that I got David Chesnoff as my attorney when they were trying to throw me in jail for 10 years for something I didn't do. So Chip was me not spending 10 years in jail for something I didn't do. I credit a lot to Chip. So I can never say anything negative about somebody I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put you out there. I know
it's all good,
dude. But what about David? Do you have any kind of relationship?
Yeah,
with David?
we're friends. We get along good. I mean, I like to say my claim to fame is him beating me to a 4-800 game by like 3 seconds, and I was locked out of the game, and I went in the pit and lost $150,000 because of it. It's the only time I ever bet. Only time I ever went into the pit in my whole life. They gave me a Noir card. They gave me
what were you playing?
Pai Gow poker. I played for like 36 hours straight.
Dear Lord.
By the time my seat opened up, about 8 hours later, they couldn't get me out of the Pai Gow game, and it was too late. They gave me a Noir card, thought I'd go back. I ended up getting like $70,000 in comps before they realized I was never playing in the pit again. So at least I got $70,000 back. But yeah,
that's funny as shit, man.
Yeah, I like to blame Skolansky for that. But listen, I got to go. I got to give Miami John a call. He's expecting my call. I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
later.
brother. Hey, thanks
bye.
for the time, man.
All right, bye. I turned the phone lines off while we call Miami John.
Yeah, here, this went to sleep, so I need the number again.
All right, so we're going to give Miami John a call.
Remind people that if they have any questions for him, they can do it in the
If you guys have any questions for him, you can just put them in the chat. We're more than happy to answer them. Okay. Well, I'm glad we decided to do this live. That's good.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message
that's never
system.
good. Why don't you text him that we're calling him right now? Might be him. Okay. Welcome to the Mouthpiece, Mr. Miami John. What it be, brother?
Hey, bro.
How's it going? What are you doing? How's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I'm in the lobby at the bicycle club. Had a couple of drinks.
All righty.
I'm ready to go when you are.
So you're live on the air. We decided
right
to
now?
go. Yeah, we decided to go live. So I hadn't been on in a while. Talk about current events. Unfortunately, I was just telling the story how I'm not going to be able to make the LAPC. I had my room all scheduled. I was supposed to be there tonight, and just been fighting through terrible pain since I got back from DC on Monday, and I didn't think I'd feel better. I do feel better now, but they put me on a steroid pack, and that really lowers my immune system. And with all the shit going around, I just couldn't be around amongst a lot of people, so I had to cancel it. So I see.
Sorry, we'll miss you here.
Yeah, I see. You got yourself a first and a second there at the LAPC. How's it been? Well, I did. That's good. So
once me and young Sam got through all the young kids, it was just me and him.
Yeah. Well,
The old guys got it.
We're going to bring that up now. You've been around since before me. I started playing in '96. You were probably late '80s. You started playing.
82 to be exact. 81 was the air traffic control strike.
I remember that.
Fuck it,
Yeah.
I'm going to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then got on a plane, left my car at Miami Airport, entered Las Vegas January of '81. Started playing poker as a pretty much I wouldn't say a live one, but not that much experience. And I just grew through the years, and here I am today.
No, that's good to hear. And you've got over 500 career caches. Do you lead? Are you the all-time leader in poker caches?
Matt Savage said the other day. Yeah, Matt Savage told me the day I had 517.
Right.
So we did an interview over at the Commerce. So it went very, very nice. And 517 to be exact.
Is that the? Does anybody in poker
I
have
know
more
for
than
sure.
that?
Nobody has 500 yet.
I didn't think so.
Ben the Master's still hanging around at 496. He's not playing that much. Don't see him that much.
Yeah, we don't count
You
him.
know, so the old guys are still up there.
Yeah, we don't
Randy
count him.
Holland's still up there. Young kid Ari Engel, very
Yeah,
good.
he's
my prediction to be the number one overall Cash's lifetime. He'll pass me.
Well, I think
unless
so.
I live to about 100. If I live to 112, I think I got him.
He plays more tournaments a year than I have in my lifetime. So yeah,
I believe it. He's got a lot of heart. He's
yeah,
a good kid. And,
good kid, really good kid. I like him a
lot.
lot.
He got my vote.
Yeah,
Speaking
me
of
too.
Votes, I watched your videos.
Yeah,
I love them. They're funny. You're a funny guy. I watched the Markup Police. I couldn't stop laughing. I've never seen anything like that before. It was hilarious.
I know. It was. They're really good. I got a couple other
I hope you
videos.
didn't have to pay Kessler too much money.
Oh no, I didn't give him shit. Are you kidding? Fuck, he asked me for something. I forgot. I think I gave. Oh, I gave him 1% of my whatever I cashed for in the 10K Omaha 8 or better, which I cashed for 17,000. So I had to, what was that? I got to give him 170 bucks or something.
Yeah, you gave him a 0.5% the best of that deal.
No shit. Especially since I've cashed in that 10K like, I don't know, like 8 out of the last 9 years. But you know, people, a lot of people out there don't know you. You know, I consider you one of the top 5 Omaha 8 or better players in the world. You've got a record to show it. You've played, you know, you've helped me a lot out in my Omaha back in the days. I mean, even when I won.
That's nice of you to say that. Thank you very much.
I mean, when I won the Omaha title in 2002, you were at that final table.
I was. Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It seems like it was yesterday. I don't know where the last 18 years have gone.
Daniel was there, I believe, right?
Yeah, Young Fan Daniel, Brent Carter was there.
The Omaha Masters.
Yeah, it was. And the funny thing about it is, and I tell people this all the time on the podcast and just whenever I talk to people, is they give you so many chips in no limit hold'em now. Nobody wins consistently. I mean, back in the day, the same people always got there in no limit hold'em. But now there's so many players and there's so many chips, the variance is so different. But if you look at the Omaha 8 and the Stud 8, and you look at the World Series events over the last 10 years, when you look at the last 3 tables, and there's 24 people to go, there's always 20 of the top Omaha or Stud 8 players at the last 24. There just is. Maybe not 20, but 18. Minimum. Am I right?
Yeah, I think if there was an expression called cream rises, I think it really applies to Omaha 8 or better.
I agree.
Because some days you'll see a lot of unknowns with chips, but they don't know really how to hang on to them.
No.
And eventually the cream will rise in that game. Now, sometimes some flukes happen, but that's going to happen in any event.
Yeah.
And and you're right about the no limit too. There's just a lot more minefields to dodge. It's just harder to do. And I'm sure there's people that were hot 10 years ago in no limit, and you don't even know their names anymore. You know,
yeah,
crazy.
Of course. You know, and you know, I used to be you know, one of the best no limit tournament players in the world, but people,
absolutely.
I tell people all the time, as good as I was in no limit tournaments, I was never that good in no limit cash games. I was really good in no limit tournaments, where I was always great in the mixed games. I was always great in the mixed game tournaments, and a lot of people don't. I have to tell that too. That you know, people will. You know, I got famous from televised no limit hold'em, but you know, Omaha 8, Stud 8, and all the mixed games, I've always been, you know, my top games. To watch you at how old are you now? You're getting up there, huh?
76.
76, and still winning tournaments with all the young kids.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, I see you won one last year, the triple draw, I guess it was, at the LAPC.
You're right. You're right.
So, you know.
Yeah, I usually win 1 or 2 a year over there, at least one. You know, sometimes I I'll whiff one. But I always do good at LAPC. I had a good record there.
You know, I've been to a lot of final tables there, but I never won one. I think I've gotten head up like 5 times. I remember back in, I think it was 99 or 2000, we were at an Omaha 8 final table at the LAPC, or at the, it's the LAPC. I got 4th, and I think you got 2nd, or you might have won it. I'm not mistaken. But, yeah.
Was Phil in that tournament?
I think so.
I don't think I made the final table. I remember you two going on. I don't think I made it.
Oh no, that was a couple. No, that was like 3. I'm talking about in like 20 years ago, like 99, 2000.
Oh, way long time ago.
Way back, yeah.
Okay. It probably was me.
No, it was you, because I remember I got 4th, and I took a beat. You had the chips, and I wished you luck, and I think you ended up getting 2nd. But I remember that like it was yesterday too.
I know. Don't you miss some of those days? I mean, we had quite a group of players that showed up all the time, and it was like living in a small town. We always kind of knew each other, and it was great. Now there's a lot of new people involved, and you don't get to know everybody as well. And I'm not dissing the new players. I think most of them are great kids. I like most of them.
Yeah.
But back in those days, we were a closely knit bunch. You know, there was only maybe 50 of us that could afford to pony up $1,000 pop and go over to L.A. and wherever, you know, in Foxwoods, all those different places, and play and, you know, get the experience. And it was great. I enjoyed it. I still do have a passion for it.
Yeah, and that's why I tell people all the time, it's like I love playing the 10Ks at the World Series of Poker, all the mixed game championships, because it's like the old family that we used to have. Because the entire World Series of Poker was basically like the 10Ks are now. Like the 10Ks we get between 100 and 200 people for every championship event. That was basically the entire World Series of Poker back in the day, except for the main event. So it was more like a family event. So whenever I do buy into the 10K mixed event, you're playing with everybody you know, everybody's talking shit, we're all having fun. And it's fun. And I'm glad to see that a lot of the No Limit people, PLO people, are learning mixed games. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit of, you have to invest a little bit to learn. So some of them are kind of yummy spots. But I had to learn, but I had to pay to learn, just like you had to pay to learn. I learned how to playing 2-400 and 4-800, all the mixed games. So I wish I would have played a little bit cheaper, learning how to play, but you know.
Unfortunately, you know, like I said, I do it for, I have the passion for it. So do you. Yeah. But a lot of the ROI really isn't that great for us. Right. You know, a tournament should at least pay you 30, 35 to 1 on your money if you're going to win one, and more lucky we could get. At least at the LAPC we get 20. And most other places we only get 10. Yeah, it's
maybe
disgusting. 11 if we're lucky. Yeah. So No Limit has got the bang for the buck, but I still have my passion in the mixed games. I love them. Me too. They're much more. You have to put much more thought into them, and they're just a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's more social. And I just, you know, I've met a lot of good people. Jimmy Woods, the actor, for instance, you know, we become very, very close friends. These days, and people like him, they show up all the time and play these games, and we have a blast. We really do.
James is a great guy. We have a lot in common about a lot of things, and we talk a lot. He's a great guy, and I'm hopefully I want to get him on the podcast. You know, I want to talk about kind of like what's going on with the country and stuff, because me and him are kind of on the same wavelength when it comes to that. And he's
got your number. He said he was going to call in a question, so I don't know.
He's a good guy. He's just one of the best guys you can meet, you know. And I kind of miss.
And he loves all of us, and he loves poker.
Oh, he left a message.
No, he tried to call us.
Oh,
we missed it. He texted us.
All right.
I told him to leave us a voicemail.
That's okay. So I'll hit him up later. But you've been down there. How many tournaments have you played down there?
I think I've maybe played. I think I've lost 9 in a row. since
Okay.
I came a first and a second. I think I played about 12 or 13.
Yeah. I remember I was down there with.
You know,
Go ahead.
no, I was just saying at 76, you don't quite show up every day. I mean, I'm there 90% of the time, but it does get a little tiresome, and I do need to get my strength for the games that I think I'm going to do better at. So I try not to push it. I do take a day or two off here and there.
Yeah. That's what kind of like I've been doing it. Now, last year I ended up, I think, playing 18 events. I cashed 7 of 18 with one final table at the World Series. Last 3 years, played 52 events, 23 cashes, 6 final tables. But God, winning them are so fucking tough. I mean, you got to catch cards at these final tables, and I really thought I was going to win the stud 8 last year, and I took a just awful beat. Somehow finished 4th, but I ended up having a good World Series, and I don't play every day because of my injury. It's been tough, so I think it's.
Sorry to hear that.
I think it's like a guy like Ari Engel. Like I have Trump's respect for him because he plays so many tournaments and he puts his heart and soul into it. And it takes a special person to play tournament poker for a living and to grind every day in tournament poker. I'll give you
an example of that. Old timer, Tuna Lund.
Yes.
Personal mentor of mine.
Yes.
Exactly. Showed up every day. He had more heart than anybody I ever knew.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he played all the tournaments.
It's kind of like that. You have to have that special thing inside of you that makes you show up every day. Take the abuse, take the punishment.
You do.
Come back, you wake up in the morning, it's a brand new day, and you go back to work.
After starting out the World Series last year with back-to-back cashes in both Omaha 8s, a 15th and a 17th, I had my sights set on a big World Series. And then the next 3 weeks go by, I had 2 min cash. I was sitting in 4 for 15, and I was depressed, And Sean Deeb said to me, Mike, you're playing great. He goes, I know when you're playing great. Keep your head down. You got the stud 8 tomorrow is probably your best event. He goes, you got the main event. He goes, and then you got a couple more after. Don't give up. And then I got the 4th and the stud 8 for 116K, 199 in the main event for 51K. Jumped in the turbo, 5K turbo for 15,000 for 30th place, I think it was, and ended up having a good World Series. And I kept showing up every day. You have to. You watch people. Tell me if you don't agree with me. You watch people like a week into the World Series when they start telling you how bad they're running, how bad, and all of a sudden you watch it just snowball. And every tournament they're in, they're playing bad because they're convinced they're running bad. And you can't be like that. You have to let it go. Go to the next day. I tell people this all the time. I used to struggle to do that, and once I learned how to do that, yeah. Right. Once I remember because we both were very emotional people. I mean, I still am, but I've learned to control it over the years. I tell people the thing that got me to control it the most was when I used to get smacked around in online poker. I would take the worst beats imaginable. That anytime I took a beat in a live game, it just never affected me anymore. So
I know. I remember the day you and I were up in Foxwoods. If I can talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but you said you got really screwed over quite a bit for over $1 million.
Yeah.
But you got a rebate of $450,000, and you told me you're going up to the room. I said, "Well, you gonna put that money in the bank?"
Hello.
No, I'm gonna go play on it right now. It's the safest place in the world to play. It was the funniest thing I ever heard.
Yeah. That was when I got my rebate from Ultimate Bet. I'm like, well, they took $1 million from me. They gave me $400 back. I guess that's $400 more than I thought they were going to give me back. So I was happy with it. So that was kind of one of the last times I had a lot of money. But
how did you do with that $400? I hope did you cash it out?
No, I ended up. Well, I don't even remember what I fucking probably blew it on sports somewhere. Who knows, man? I gave my PO officer from jail 25K because he had an autistic kid and he took care of me when I was in jail, and he was nice to me. So I did that. He told me he'd give me $1,000 a month. I thought I'd never get $1,000 a month, but I got 200. He ended up paying me like $200 back, and that's it. But I don't, you know, I did it as a favor, you know, because I felt he was good to me. That was just the type of person I've always been. When I had money, I always gave it to people. But then again, I never thought I would go through this injury thing that just basically kind of took me out. But it made me stronger. I'm a much stronger person today from it, and I've learned a lot about the world from it because I was bedridden for like 15 months. So you know, it's
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's made me a better person, and I look back at it all, and you know, that's the best thing I could do is try my hardest to live life every day and try and become a better person. So
yeah, well, those were some dark days, and I'm glad you got through it okay.
Yeah, you know,
you and I went through a lot back before that. Even with I remember sometimes you and I would be 20,000 stuck a piece.
Oh,
I could do 24 hours. You could do 48.
Yeah,
and eventually get out or shoot ourselves.
Yeah, that was my problem is I would always get out.
I have to interrupt you. James Woods is going to conference in on John's line right now.
Okay.
So let John know. Well, John, be prepared for that call.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of merge in.
Okay. I saw his call, but I didn't answer it.
Oh, okay.
I'm supposed to answer it?
Oh.
Can you conference him in? Do you know how to do that?
No, I don't know how to do that.
That's all right. It's not we could do it on another time. It's not a big deal.
We don't have the option.
Okay, it's okay. We'll talk to him out another time. So, anyways, you've been playing a lot of poker down there. You're doing well. You won one in a second. You're 76 years old. You got over 517 cashes. For the people out there that don't know you, I just, like people to understand, you're a great mixed game player. You're a great Omaha 8 player. You're a good no limit player. You're a grinder. You're an old school grinder. You got any good stories for some of the fans out there that they would enjoy?
Well, I don't know what kind of stories you would be looking for. There's always a bunch of poker stories. But
well,
I do have an Alan Kessler story if you like to hear it.
Oh, there's so many of those, but go ahead.
Well, Alan is known for being a little bit on the cheap side, right?
A lot on the cheap side. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. So on the matter of fact, it was the day I saw you go to your room and play the 400,000 online. Mm-hmm. 2 days later, Alan and he came up to me and says, "Are you going to the Borgata?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going. She's going to get a ride." I said, "Well, sure, no problem." So I stopped in and we gassed up and I put in $50. I didn't get anything from Alan. We went over the George Washington Bridge. Nothing. Then we go through all the toll roads in New Jersey, right? And I keep on shoveling out my pocket. Alan just sits there. I said, "Geez, this guy isn't going to come up with anything, So finally, the last toll, I needed 75 cents. And I said, "Alan, I'm short, man. I don't have any quarters." He reached into his pocket and he pulled out a quarter and he said, "Would this help?"
That's a good Alan Kessler story, man. That's a
oh my God.
That's a good one.
It's a classic.
It's
almost as good as the one, the little man. You remember little man Mike Sika?
Yeah, I remember him.
Okay. Well, I hate to pick on Alan, but I got to tell this one too.
All right.
He says he's in line with Alan and he's got a $10 comp at the Palms, and the bill came to $10.19. And Alan had like an egg and an orange and a drink and all that stuff. He said, "That'll be 19 cents. He says, "No way. That has to include the tax. You can't charge me 19 cents. Sorry, you're going to have to pay 19 cents. And Alan handed them back the orange, I swear to God.
Oh, my God.
That's right from the little man.
Oh, my God. Oh,
I know.
My God. I knew he was cheap, but...
Worse than you thought.
Yeah, it was way worse than I thought. It sucks that him and Savage hate each other. I don't know if they hate each other. They just like each other. But
I like Alan.
I like Alan too. I mean, yes, he's aggravating. Yes, he's annoying. But I got him on the podcast. I was trying to tell him to stop being so negative, that he'd probably win a lot more tournaments if he stops telling everybody how bad he runs every tournament, So,
that negative's no good.
No, it's all about positivity.
One story I do remember that I thought was very, very amusing. I mean, it's not going to help everybody playing a bit of poker, but I don't know if you remember the LAPC when we played the first day. We came back for day 2, and we all went to get our seats. And instead of the normal seat assignments, everything was done in alphabetical order.
Oh, I remember that.
Sherry was there. It wasn't Matt Savage. It was Sherry back then. And Sherry put us in alphabetical order by first name. Do you remember that tournament?
I do. We went crazy.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
We went nuts. I walked by, and there was an empty seat, and there was John Derwanda, Johnny Chan, Johnny Hennigan, and saying, "This must be your seat, John," right? I said, "No, it's not. It's not my seat at all."
I remember that.
They were mad. You remember that? It was hilarious.
I totally forgot about it, but now I remember it, So
guess where I went? I went to the M section for Miami, and I got to play with all the mics. And believe me, playing with the mics was much more profitable than the Johns.
No shit.
100%.
Back in the day, absolutely. Yeah, so you going to play the main event down there?
I go for one satellite. I'll be doing it tomorrow. It's $1,100 buy-in.
Yeah.
If I win the satellite, I go to the main event. And if I don't, I'm fine with that. I'll just come over to the bike and start playing the 350s for the Quantum over here.
Yeah, those are good deals. And, I played the satellite last year at the LAPC. I was like completely broke last year, and I didn't even have $1,000. Still had to put me in the satellite, which I won, and then I got 27th in the main event.
Nice.
And
nice parlay.
And then I been grinding. I grinded $0 into a nice bankroll that I have right now. I'm $50K short of when I'm going to start paying people that I owe. But 2 years in a row, I made 100. I paid 75 out to people I owed, left myself 25, lost 2 days in a row, and was broke. I told myself I wouldn't do that this year, no matter what. And I worked hard to get myself on my feet. And I'm about 50,000 away. And as soon as I get 50 more thousand, I will be calling people to come pick up chunks of money. But once I reach that goal,
just don't do it in the casino. Because do you remember the year that Mike Lang owed everybody?
Yeah.
Won 200,000, played Lemon Hobart.
Yeah.
A line formed. He paid everybody off. He was
yeah.
A line formed that was like 35 deep.
Yeah.
If you recall. And then in the middle of the line was Hippie John.
Yeah.
And Hippie John owed a lot of money. And then another line that was perpendicular to that line formed to get the money from Hippie John when he got it from Mike Lang.
Yeah.
So God bless you guys and pay up eventually.
Yeah. And the thing is everybody thinks I owe a lot of money, which I don't. If you count all the bookies, I owe $780,000, but I only owe about $183,000 to which actual money I need to pay, which is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've owed $3.5 million before, not once but twice. So I'm not worried about paying people. The whole key for me is just staying out of pain and being able to work. If I'm able to work, I make money. And so I made up my mind. I wasn't paying anybody after the World Series last year. And I've been able to ante up. I've been able to make money, and I've told everybody that I owe, the two people I owe, that by the end of the World Series.
Jimmy Woods is calling me now. Am I supposed to answer that or what?
Nah. Oh, is he?
He really wants to get on. He keeps texting us.
Can you three-way call? Can you hit merge?
So here's the thing.
Let's see.
We're going to explain this to you, John.
He stopped. Is it the hold and accept button? Is that the one?
John, there should be a merge calls button when he calls you.
Yeah.
What kind of phone do you have? Is it an iPhone or an Android?
Yeah, there should
we
be.
both have iPhone 10s.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, if it's
hit
an
them.
iPhone, there should be a merge calls button as he's calling in while you're on the phone with us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, I'll hit it next time.
Yeah, we'll tell him to go ahead and give you a call, see if we can get him in on your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But that's good that you pay your debts like that. I mean, there are a lot of people in the industry that hurt the industry. They don't pay,
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that you're that type of person.
My whole life,
I never have been in debt. Never have had tons and tons of money, but I always I'm a grinder, like you said, So if I have to get in a tournament, I'll go play a stud game, and I'll take that money, I'll take it upstairs, and vice versa. One keeps me going, and then the other one keeps me going. The secret is to run good in both of them. That's the difficult part.
It's like I told my girl, I'm like, if I had to grind to make $10,000 a month, and I can do it every day. I mean, it's easy. I mean, a blind person can make $10,000 a month. You just got to grind. It's just so hard for me with my injury to grind day after day. I've just found myself playing in really big games where I'm playing for like 10 or 20%, where those games are so much better than the games you play in the casino. I'd rather play for 20% in a 100, 200 no-limit game than play 10 or 10% than play in a 10, 20 no-limit game. You know what I'm saying? Where we are playing all the people that are grinding, trying to make a living, you see. And so I've been doing a lot of that, picking up 5,000s, 10,000s, just working and trying to build myself up. It's like literally I've pieced out where if I didn't have pieces of myself, I would be completely like over 400,000 just in the last 7 months. That's what I've given people in pieces. So it sucks.
There you are.
But it's okay. It's like no rush.
Mike, we have company.
Hey,
Mike, we have company on
what up, Jimmy?
Hey.
How are you doing? Welcome to the Mouthpiece.
No, I'm going to just make sure you guys can hear me okay.
We hear you fine.
Terrific podcast.
Yeah.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine. How are you?
I hear you good.
I'm great. This is a wonderful podcast. I'm hearing all these things about John that I never knew.
Yeah.
And things about you, Mike, that I never knew. But I thought, if nothing else, I hoped I could maybe lend a little perspective to who John really is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know who he is.
Right. By the way, everyone out there, this is James Woods, world famous actor, great poker player, great guy, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Mike,
and coming on the podcast. So go ahead and tell them what
a great friend, I might add.
Yes.
So here's how I met John. The first time I ever met John, I was very close to my mom, God rest her soul, because my dad died when I was 12. And my mom raised my brother and myself. And, I always have kind of an affinity for people who are very close to their families. And I was playing some kind of celebrity tournament at the height of the poker boom. And we were at Caesar's Palace, of all places, playing some, celebrity professional poker tournament together. And 2 days in a row, I saw John wheeling this elderly lady around in a wheelchair. And I said, this is weird. This guy's playing poker and he has this lady in a wheelchair, I assume it probably is his mom, sitting with him. And somebody said, yeah, I think that is his mom. So I went over and I said, hi. I said, I'm Jimmy Woods. He goes, oh, hi. Yeah, I know you're an actor. Hi, how are you? And I said, is this lovely lady your mom? He said, yes, it is. And we started chatting a bit. And, I finally found out that John, his mom was alone. So, she was having, some medical issues, and she was a little older. And so John was taking care of her. Now that we've become, honestly, he's one of my, if not dearest friends in the world, my dearest friend in the world. He could fill me in on what was really happening. In the last couple of years of her life, he took her everywhere. He took her all over the world to when he had to play poker, and she'd sit with him and, she'd read or she'd knit or she'd do whatever she did. And one time he said, Ma, I feel so bad, but, I have a living. I got to take care of my daughter and, and so on. And I feel kind of bad that I'm dragging you all over the world. And she said, dragging me all over the world brings tears to my said, this has been the greatest 2 years of my life. I've traveled the world with the one person who makes me love
That's awesome.
more than anything I ever thought possible. And every time John and I talk about my mom or his mom, we're kind of bonded by how much we love these remarkable women that cared for us, and that we were able. I mean, people say to me, why did you stop acting? And I've never really said this to anybody publicly, Mike, and I don't do press for anybody, but I love you too, man. You're a great guy. And I will tell you, the reason I really quit acting was the last 4 years of my mother's life. She had an illness, and I needed to take care of her, and I went back to Rhode Island, and I spent 4 years with my mom before she passed, God rest her soul, and that was that. So John and I have a bond that transcends poker and even friendship, just a familial bond, the way we feel about our families. And I think that's the thing that I always admire about him, when, I have to every day remind him to pull up his pants. Matt Savage actually has our Twitter account called Miami John's Pants. And Miami John has a problem with the way he wears his pants, unlike anybody on the face of the earth. But you have to see it to believe it.
That even makes me tear up a little bit because, I'm an emotional person. And what people don't know a lot about Miami John, about me, and about you is we care so much, and a lot of people we're passionate, and whether it's with our families, whether it's the poker world, whether it's politics, we care so much, and sometimes we go crazy and say things we don't mean or whatever, but it's because we're passionate, and it's so important in life to be that way. I'm never going to change that way. I'm always going to treat the person I'm with the way I want to be treated. If everybody in the world would just be that way, the world would be a better place. Unfortunately,
you couldn't have said it better. I mean, I was at a party the other night, and Rob Reiner was there. Now, my politics are more conservative, and Rob Reiner is very upfront about the fact that he's extremely liberal.
Right.
But Rob gave me a great opportunity once to do a movie where I got an Oscar nomination. He fought for me when the studio didn't want me.
Right.
I fought to get the part and said, I promise you I'll deliver. I'll get at least a nomination for you, and I did, and so on. And we see each other. We hug each other. We laugh, and we tease each other about politics. And people say, how is it possible you guys are friends like this? I said, because we were good to each other, and we're passionate. I said, look, Rob Reiner maybe, and I kiddingly said this to him, and I mean, I ripped him at the time, that maybe wrong about his politics, but I'll never doubt that he's passionate about his politics. And one thing I'll never say is that he's not a patriot.
Right.
I say, look, the guy may be different in his thinking than I am in my thinking, but nobody can doubt that we are patriots and we care about our country. We just have different ways of looking about how we think those things will be achieved.
And I tell people that all the time.
People can't figure that out.
I tell people that all the time. Everybody wants people that are passionate about politics, they want the same things from everybody, but we want to go about it in a different way. That's the only thing. And our founding fathers didn't make Democrats and Republicans to hate each other. They made them to come up with different ideas to move the country forward and to make the country a better place. And that's where we've gone away from. And that seems to be the problem.
And but now listen, getting back to poker, let me tell you something that's kind of interesting, because you guys have been pros for a long time.
Yeah.
So if for a second, I think it's pretty well known that John has coached me a lot in the mixed games.
That's good to know.
And and I'll give you a little background on this.
Okay.
Every time I would try to play Hold'em, one of the reasons I got very frustrated playing Hold'em is that online I did very well because nobody, except I think one person, knew who I was.
Right.
And I could tell the difference between how people would play against me online with my screen name that was not anything like mine.
Right.
So I was anonymous. And how they played live. And they can't help themselves. You know what it's like being a pro, with you and Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth and everybody wants to have a story to tell. I call them tweeters. Actually, here's a tweeter. They get that glassy look in their eye, and they can't wait and hold them to, go all in with 7 deuce offsuit, make you lay down kings, and then tell everybody how they bluffed you and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit of noise in the background. Is that John?
No, we're fine.
John, is there any noise in
where
you're
sitting? I'm in a hotel lobby. I'm walking over to a quieter area.
Yeah, we're okay.
Or you can just put it on mute. Just press mute while I'm talking.
No, we're okay.
And then,
we're fine.
Old guys in technology.
Yeah.
Anyway, Anyway, so I got very frustrated playing Hold'em because I thought, just let me play the game without having to, let's all dogpile James Woods and have a story to tweet and tell.
Yeah.
So John said, well, in the mixed games, what's kind of interesting is that there is no story to tell. I mean, what are you going to say? In the second draw of the Ducey, I hit, the 4 of clubs to make the wheel against James Woods. What the fuck is he talking?
That's not a story.
They wouldn't have a clue what I was doing.
Right.
So what happened was he said, you should play the mixed games because really it suits your kind of intellectual nature. I'm more of an analytic person, and, I would just get frustrated when the math wouldn't work out in Hold'em, which of course it doesn't. There's a lot to Hold'em that's about other things than the math. But boy, I tell you, the starting requirements and the strategies are very, very, very important, as you know, in mixed games.
Of course.
So I go to the Bellagio with John. We sit down, like you talked about, the 400, 800. We sat at 40, 80, and I got my ass handed to me for like 3 or 4 weeks. But I'd read books every night. I'd read Ken Lowe's book. I'd read, the Todd Brunson has a great chapter on Stud 8 or Better in Super System 2. I'd read all these different strategy books. I'd read everything, and John would sit with me and give me starting, strategies, and then present possibilities to me. Would talk over hands, and I'd be, I felt like I'll make a little play here, and he goes, stop playing that way.
Yeah.
Play these strategies and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I go from losing my ass 2 years ago, December, to going to the LAPC. And at the LAPC, I made 6 final tables in 12 cashes.
That's awesome. See, and you were deep a couple times last year at the World Series with me, if I'm not mistaken, in like one event. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was a horse.
Well, what it was that same year, as miracle, I go to the World Series and I come in 5th in Dealer's Choice, which was 23 games.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
didn't even know how to play those games 7 months before, and I come in 5th, and only because I got a really bad beat in, believe it or not, Deuce 7 pot limit triple draw, which is a kind of odd variant of that game.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do want to correct one thing. You said didn't John win triple draw last year?
Yeah.
At the LAPC. Actually, I won the LAPC triple draw.
Well, he did
John
win.
Was there moderating.
He did. It did say he got a first in.
He said single draw. I mean,
single draw.
Triple draw.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Not single draw.
Yeah. So that's good to hear.
John, tell him about the bluff in the Deuce when I was playing in the triple draw. He almost fell off a chair.
Mike, this is true.
What happened?
I'm commentating on a podcast.
Okay.
And Jim is playing Hippie Don, heads up.
Who's a great guy, by the way, Don Helprin. A great guy. I really like the guy a lot.
Yeah.
And the year before, like the history is, the year before that first year I was playing the mixed games right after the LAPC, Don and I, and you were talking about R.A. Engel, is a great guy, by the way, and a great player.
Great guy.
We got down to 3-handed in Omaha, 8 or better, and Ari won it.
Right.
And Don came in second. So, and I came in third, obviously. So, but anyway, so now I'm playing Don heads up, and the game. Go ahead, John.
Okay, so I think we're playing. Deuce to 7, I believe.
No, it was ace to 5.
Oh, ace to 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Don,
it was the 6s. Remember?
Yeah. So Don rapped Pat on the second draw, and Jimmy had paired 6s a couple times.
Uh-huh.
He says he just flipped it up in the air and says, "Jesus Christ, how many 6s are left in this deck?"
Uh-huh.
We get down to the last draw, and I'm commenting, and Jimmy looks at his cards, and you get this look on his face like, "Oh my God, he caught the 4-6,"
Mm-hmm.
So he says, "Oh my God, you give me this card?" He's looking at the dealer, he's looking at me. This is unbelievable. So Don starts to turn his hand over, thinking Jimmy got the 4-6. So Jimmy says, "Excuse me.
Hold on.
Did I do something wrong? Did I initiate any action here?" And so Don puts his hand back down and says, "No, Jim, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's your turn to act. Go ahead." So Jimmy puts out a bet.
Okay.
Don folds. And Jimmy throws his hand in. And I said, "Wait a minute. I have to know something. My read is you got the 4-6. I said, if you did, you deserve it. Show it." He turns over, pair of 6s.
That's awesome.
He had all 4 6s and won the pot.
That's awesome.
That was the bluff.
I mean, it's hard for him to be bluffing because he showed the six the second time, and now he comes out betting. It's like if he wanted to bluff it, they would have thought he bluffed it the first couple times. That's great.
Yeah. But Don was so tight. Don was so tight as he started to turn it down. I said, "Wait! I haven't bet yet." And then I bet.
Was it Don Zuen? Don Zuen? Is that who you're talking about?
Hippie Don.
Oh, Hippie. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Don Halpert. He's a very good player, by the way. In fact, he was the last night we were playing Archie, and I think he had won Archie last year. I think he won the. He did. I
saw your tweet with the straight flush. What did two people have a straight flush? Is that what happened?
No, what happened? No, they were actually separate. What happened was the very first hand, Shirley Rosario, a terrific player, she made aces full. This is an Archie. The very next hand, I make a 7-high straight flush. Then Mark Gregorich comes to our table, and like the third hand he plays, he makes a 6-high straight flush.
Wow.
I said, boy, there's a lot of straight flushes in one night at one table.
I had a guy draw 2, and he made a steel wheel on me. It happens.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I mean,
The amazing thing is about guys like you when you're teaching new people. This is something I got to tell you. This is what I learned. The fundamental thing I learned from John. Besides, John was an air traffic controller,
right.
So he thinks in terms of life and death about these things. When he thinks about things, he thinks, look, you can't mess around when you're pushing 35,000 feet in the air above your head. You've got to do it right. And the reason John is, I call John the Cal Ripken of poker, because he has more tournament catches than anybody in the history of the game. And why John Cernuto is not in the Poker Hall of Fame, to me, is one of the unbelievable absurdities of this game.
It is absurd.
It's absurd. Absurd.
But I'm not in it either. And there's a lot of people that aren't in it because it's politics, okay? And we don't need to go any farther than that.
Anyway, let me just say that one of the things that he taught me, aside from approaching it like the science that it really is, and it's an art as well, of course, but in the right starting hands, the right strategies and so on, is that you can never, ever stop learning or growing.
No, you can't.
Okay? And so when John would teach me, I'd ask a question, and sometimes I'd say, that's an interesting point. So like when Archie came out, for example, there were no posted strategies for Archie.
No.
So John and I would start talking through it, and we'd talk to Mark Gregorich, who's a really good poker thinker, and ask questions what he thought. You'd ask really the top players how they would approach this new mixed game. And what was interesting about
I hate that game, by the way.
Find yourself, what?
I hate that game. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you would find yourself starting to think again about poker. It's so easy to fall into strategies all the time. But then you start thinking about ways, not only because the game changes, but because people get set in their ways. It can be in the simplest way possible. I'll give a perfect example. We moved the 40-80 game over to the Aria for a while. And we were playing with terrific players like Mark Tenner and Magic and these guys. And, they're terrific mixed game players. And John and I said to John, John, sometimes I can see your cards and you sit there and you're kind of loose. He goes, yeah, I know, but they're not looking. It's only. I said, John, just for the sake of it, like you're a top pro, go back to basics, man. Hide your hand. I know it sounds silly. Well, we started making a little deal where you had to pay attention, you couldn't act, and you couldn't look at your cards before it was your turn. And every time we would make a mistake, we'd flip the other guy $5. It was amazing how many times we kept flipping a $5 chip to each other. I mean, just for fun, but it was like, wow, you fall into habits and you get kind of lazy about it. And all of a sudden, those little edges, look, they built casinos with a half a point edge. You've got to have your game. I'll never be at the level you guys play at. But one of the things that helps me is that I think or try to approach the game because of John the way a professional would, to really think about what is the point of making this play here? What is the point of making this bluff? What is the point of
you have to have a plan.
Folding this hand? You've got to think through every hand. I see a guy sitting there and he's looking on his phone and texting. I go, this guy's a loser by definition. He's not paying attention to the game because they think they're so good they don't have to.
Yeah. No, it's the truth. You have to have a plan. Every time you enter a pot, you have to have a plan. if you are going to deviate from that plan, you deviate from it. But usually I go in with a plan, especially if in no limit hold'em, on how I'm going to react if somebody re-raises, if a certain seat re-raises me, or you just have to have a plan. You have to be focused. And I tell my girlfriend all the time is, a lot of times even when we would fight before a tournament, I'd get mad. I'm like, you don't understand. Tournament poker is like 80% mental. If you're not mentally focused, you can't win. And so it's very important to be mentally focused. And you guys are a lot older than me, but even I'm getting old now. And trying to compete with these young guys, it ain't easy. And so you got to be focused. And if you're going to win,
look, I
got to stay focused.
John and I kid about it. But my girlfriend is like the most supportive partner you could ever have if you wanted to play. If I were a professional, she would be like the holy grail.
Right.
She has never once in 5 years that we've been together said, "Oh, honey, you're going to go play poker tonight?" None of that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to play. So, but she'll tell me in advance, "Hey, listen, it's my dad's birthday coming up on this date. How is that? Can we make a commitment to that?" And I go, "Honey, whatever you want, because you are so good about what I need to do." So when I go, I never go sort of to play a tournament with my mind full of crap. I go in there and I'm focused, and I do it because I want to. And you know what? I mean, for you guys, it's more important because you make your living at it. But I try to think like you guys do so that I have a better shot at it. And the one thing I always think about that's so valuable is you go there and remember that you love the game. John loves the game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you a final story. I don't want to monopolize John's time here. I used to play golf with Wayne Gretzky all the time.
Yeah.
And Wayne Gretzky he belonged to a country club. I won't say where it is because you know where he lives. But anyway, we were at his country club, and afterwards, it was right around the time that he'd hurt his back, and he was told by his doctor not to play anymore.
Right.
And it was as simple as this. He was sitting in the jacuzzi, and my buddy and I were playing with him. We were in the locker room, and we were chatting. A bunch of guys were chatting with him. And I said, Wayne, you can't go out there and play anymore, man. They said if you hit your back a certain way, you could be paralyzed from the waist down. Why would you ever take that chance?
Yeah.
And it sounds corny, but he looked me right in the eye and he goes, Jimmy, because I love the game.
Exactly.
I just love this fucking game. I love this game.
That's good.
I love it.
Well, thanks,
and
Jim. I appreciate James for coming on and talking about Miami John. He's a great guy.
He's the greatest.
And
thank you, James. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I love you too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the World Series. And we'll catch up.
Oh, wait. One other thing that we always have to do. John's daughter, Debbie, just loves it when we give her a shout-out. So in case she ever hears this back again, we just want to say, Debbie, we love you, and we're thinking of you. And John's on his way home soon to see you. So life is good. Life is good.
You're the best. And fucking go. Right. And one more thing. Go Trump. See you later, Jimmy.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks for calling, Jim.
See you, Johnny. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Jimmy. Thank you.
What a nice guy. He's the greatest.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah, it was good to hear from him. He's such a good person. A lot of people, they don't like him because of politics, but I mean, people don't realize, like when the LA fires were going on last year.
When I see that, I hate to.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. About the LA fires, how many people he helped save, how many animals he helped save. He cares, okay, and he's passionate. Whether you agree with his politics or not, that doesn't matter. It's one of the things I tell people in this world all the time. He cares about the country, just like you care about the country. Whether you disagree with how he cares about the country is up to you. But the bottom line is he cares. And that's the bottom line.
His heart is in the right place. Exactly.
His heart's in the right place, just like mine's in the right place. Whether you disagree with me, how we go about it, that's the whole divide in the country. And I just care about people who I know's hearts are in the right place. I've known you now for 24 years. I know your heart's in the right place. I know you're a good guy. When I was learning how to play Omaha, You, Brent Carter, Mark Gregorich. I learned a lot from you guys, and for me becoming the player I am today, I owe a lot. I've learned a lot from you guys in the split games, and I am always grateful
Thank you.
for that.
You learned well. Very good.
Yeah, and there's many times me and Phil get in an argument about hands. He's like, Miami John says I'm supposed to do this. And I'm like, well, Miami John's wrong. He's like, don't tell me Miami John's wrong. He's fucking more cashes than you, blah, blah. And then we'll get in this big argument. And then he'll be like, oh, I missaid the hand to you. I said, of course you did, because Miami John wouldn't play a hand like that. And then he would re-say the hand to me. I'm like, oh, well, that way I agree with. So you know how Phil takes everything to an extreme. So
Sure.
that was pretty funny. So anyways.
I told him, too. I remember that day, and I said, Phil, there's certain strategies that work, and a lot of it depends on the type of the game that you're in and the players that you're with.
Right.
So you can 3-bet to hell all day long,
Right.
and it's not going to do you any good if you got a game where you're going to get 5 callers every time.
Correct.
So re-strategize, redirect your thinking. But normally when you're playing with players who actually think about the game, these are the strategies you want to do. You want to get people heads up, and you want to start 3-betting them more often.
Right.
If you're going to get a bunch of people in the middle, then you just call. And he agreed with you.
Yeah.
Phil's a
So
great
like,
guy too.
Daniel told me he was playing in WSOP Europe, and he said, "Man, I'm really impressed. Like Phil's really playing mixed games well." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I spend a lot of time teaching him, right?"
I know you do.
And a lot of
Yes.
people don't. They're like, "Why do you help Phil?" But I'm like, "Well, because when I was sick, nobody helped me but Phil. Well, I'm going to help the people that help me. And people are getting good at no limit. So if Phil's going to win more bracelets, he's going to have to get good at mixed games. And when Phil wins, people don't realize when Phil wins, poker wins. People don't get that. Okay, Phil is great for poker. So I want to see Phil doing well. And I guess they had a $10,000 bet on a certain hand, and Daniel tells me the hand where Phil had ace. Guy raised like in the cutoff, and Phil was on the button with ace 3 suited and 2 queens. And I said, you must 3-bet that hand. I'm like, you got to get the blinds out. And that was the bet. He flat called and ended up losing his pot instead of winning a big pot. And I told him, you have to 3-bet that hand. And Daniel told him the same. And then he made a bet, like a $10,000 bet with Daniel he's just supposed to call. And I didn't know what the bet was. They named me the hand. They go, Mike, do you 3-bet this hand or not? I said, absolutely 3-bet it. And I guess that was their bet. So I guess Phil lost that bet. So,
there was a time before the poker explosion where Phil Hellmuth was doing videos about poker history and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And most people laughed at him, including myself.
Yeah.
Because I said, who gives a crap about poker history? Well, he had the vision, and boy, did it ever come true.
Yeah.
And anything he's gotten out of poker, and you're right, he deserves it.
Yeah.
He gets credit for it, and when he does well, poker does well. I agree with that.
And I tell people all the time, a lot of people get upset that Phil he owns part of U-Stake and he charges 1.5 markup or whatever, 1.7, and then the poker world throws a fit. That's when I came out with Markup Police, and I charge 1.4, 1.5, but people don't understand it. It's like if the poker players were putting up money and chunks of money, that's a lot. But when you got 100 people putting up $50 for $38 worth of action for an extra $12 to say they have 1% of Mike Mattis or Phil Hellmuth, that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And Brian Rast wrote an article about why it's a good thing. Even when me and Phil were a little bit we were really kind of upset about, we were like, fuck, Phil was like top all-time money earner for a while, and you were at one time as high as 12th. I was one time as high as like 6th, and then all these high rollers came out, and now I'm like 83rd in the world or whatever it is. But the bottom line, and I used to get upset saying, why don't they every time somebody enters a tournament and doesn't cash, take that off their all-time money list. And then Phil's like, yeah, I agree, right? But then Brian Rast wrote a great article saying, Mike, if you do that, he goes, there's a lot of people that think they're winners at poker, right? You don't want them to know to know that, hey, they're not winning poker players, because then they won't be anteing up. So you don't want people to know that they're not winning poker players. And when he said that, that changed my entire thought process on that. Like, who gives a fuck about all-time money winner? Who cares about that? You want to keep people in the game that think they're winners that aren't winners. And, as far as ROI goes, like me, Phil, probably you, Carlos Mortensen was like the best for a while. Like, I still look at I think I'm 1.6 million winner in tournament poker in my lifetime, which out of 10 million earned is, pretty good. Where most people that have, there's a lot of people that have won 10, 15 million that are 5 million loser in tournament poker. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think they know that though.
They know it, and even
they
like
just don't get the notoriety.
Yeah, and even like Dan Shack was like, somebody said something. He goes, "You think I don't know I'm a losing player in poker? You don't need to remind me." He goes, "You think I'm stupid?" And he's right. And I love Dan. He's a great guy. So when Brian Rast said that, I said, you know what, he's right. And then Phil said he's right. But I can understand Phil. He's probably one of the best ROIs in poker history. He doesn't play that many. Even at the World Series, like he might play 30 a year. Daniel plays like 55 a year or 60 or whatever. Phil, the last 3-4 years, and he's always in the top 10 of all at the best all around. So no matter what they want to keep saying about Phil, Phil does a lot of things they don't like, and there's a lot of things that even I try and help him change. You can't beat a dead horse. You know how Phil is. So I try my best with the mixed games. But we've become real close lately, and I finally. There's a couple things I said about his no limit game that I know if I helped him out with. What the fuck was that? All right, well, whatever. Oh, it's my phone. No, your phone's right here. Oh, well, I don't know what fell. Oh, anyways, who cares? Couldn't have been that important. And I said, so I brought those up to him, and because I wanted to help him. I wanted him to become the player that I know he could, where he could be dominant again. And he says to me, it's the greatest comment. He's like, "Shut the fuck up, Mike. I'm the Michael Jordan of poker. You're the Charles Barkley. Don't tell me I'm the greatest no-limit player in the world. I don't want no-limit advice from you." And that was the end of that. But I got rated the Charles Barkley. I can't complain, right?
That's true. That's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was like.
But I think he's joking. He's joking a little bit.
No. He does not joke around. Okay. He truly believes he's the greatest no-limit hold'em player in the world. Now, I think he could be the greatest again, but he has to make a few adjustments. I think he reads probably one of the top 5 card readers in the world, and you can't change that. And but I know what his flaws are, and the kids like to call him out for his flaws, and he doesn't, say it. Yeah. But you can't, he's got quite the ego, my friend Phil, but he's got a heart of gold. Yeah. And that's really again all that matters. We brought a few names up. We got you, James Woods, Mark Gregorich, Phil Hellmuth, me. I mean, these are people who have hearts of gold, and I put myself in that category because I know that, and that in poker, in the cutthroat industry that we live in, having a heart of gold is not always the best thing. I can never be a cutthroat person. I like to tell people the story of in Cabo about 3 weeks ago for Super Bowl weekend. Like, we were playing with a bunch of Phil's billionaire buddies, and one of the guys in the game didn't even know what a flop, a turn, or a river was. Bought in for like $30,000, played every hand. And one of his guys was so drunk he couldn't see the cards, and I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was stealing, and and I want to beat people out of money, and I want to play against bad players, but I don't want to feel like I'm stealing, And one of his friends in the game says, "Don't worry, these guys are big boys." He goes, "Them losing 20,000 is like you losing 20 cents." He goes, "Don't even sweat it, Mike." And I still ended up getting up out of the game because I just felt wrong. And where most people in poker, cutthroat people, just would never do that or think like that. And
they wouldn't.
And that's just where
if
I come
you
from.
do have a heart of gold in our industry, you can still. I'm proof. You can still thrive in the industry.
Absolutely.
However, if you are playing at a level with stone cold killers, they will look at you as a weakness,
right?
For sure, and they will take advantage of that.
Well, that's
probably what you're talking about, what Phil or you run into sometimes.
Right. And you know what? It's kind of like when we were playing a big game live at the bike last summer right after World Series. And
I was there. I saw you.
Oh, yeah. And then they asked Antonio why he didn't play in the game. He goes, "I play with 7 fish. I don't play with 7 pros." Now, I give Antonio a lot of credit. There's a lot of things I don't like about Antonio as a person, but when it comes to that, he's a smart cookie. He knows that when you're always playing with people who play worse than you, you're going to get all the money. And he's a hustler. I mean, he is a cutthroat person. He will, he's all about making the money, which, hey, it's not, I don't fault that. You know what I mean? Poker is all about playing with players who play worse than you. It's not about playing the best in the world and seeing whose dick's bigger, which is why I've never had any interest in playing the high roller tournaments. Just never have. So.
Yeah. Well, I see with Antonio socially, we always hit it off very, very well. He's a lot of fun.
And me too. I get along with Antonio great.
I don't get to play with him that often, but I'm sure he's a stone cold killer himself.
Yeah,
sure.
He's a killer, and to make a lot of money in poker, you need to be a killer. I can never be a killer. I'm more than happy now to play 3-4 times a month in games that are really good, where I'm almost going to win 9 out of 10 times. And I'm happy with that, because poker's about playing people who play worse than you, not about playing the best in the world. And I don't want to play the best in the world. But like I told Phil, you want to go down as the best in the world. I don't. So you are going to have to improve X, Y, and Z, and I can help you with your mixed games. But if you want to become you want to start competing with these people in No Limit, you're going to have to work harder. And he agreed. And so he got humbled this last weekend in Washington. And I said, "Is this light a fire under your ass?" And he said, "Yes, it did." And he goes, "I feel humbled." And Phil needed to be humbled, because he's been making a lot of money with some investments lately. And when he's doing well, he loses track. And he needs to get humbled a little bit in poker, and then that's when he gets focused. And I know every time when Phil's going to be a killer, or when he's going to be a wasted pick in the World Series of Poker draft.
Yeah, it's like the Rocky movie. He needs to get hit a few times, and he gets the eye of the tiger back.
Exactly. Well, John, absolute pleasure having you on. What's that?
Let's get a couple more old school stories from him.
What's that? Do you have? My editor said to ask me if you have any other old school poker stories from back in the days, even before I came into the scene, back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, but if I told them on the air, I'd probably be assassinated. So
okay,
not really.
Well, that's you know what?
Anyway, nothing on the top of my head. Anyway.
That's all good. All good. Listen, I just wanted to have you on, and I want people to understand, what you've meant for the poker community over just since I've been around for 24 years, and a lot of people that don't know you, they don't understand how even the beginning of the WPTs, like how we grinded all the events, and we went from tournament to tournament, and a lot of these kids that show up that were 2 years old, or some of them not even born, they just this didn't come overnight. This worldwide global poker thing didn't come overnight. There was a lot of work that we did, and I know you were a big part of it, and I always get on the air and I say thank you for that. And
thank you. I'm proud of being a pioneer of it.
Yeah, and the people in the poker community, instead of bashing people, I think poker's the only game or sport where people bash people who came before them to try and make themselves look good, instead of respecting and appreciate the people who paved the way for them to make a good living playing poker. I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves that bothers me about people in poker world. But I know I respect to you, and you're a big part of it, and I thank you, and I hope the poker world thanks you. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so
John.
much. And earlier you asked me if I could draw from one thing for the players that are listening in.
Yeah.
And I will say this as far as my secret: when you take the two aces and you get it all in really, really good, and 90% of your stack goes down the drain because somebody goofed off with a king nine on you. Mm-hmm. Okay. The question is, a lot of players say, "Oh, that's it. I only got 10% of my stack left. I'm done." Mm-hmm. And to me, the question is, how am I going to get those chips back?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a never give up type thing, but you can't think like that. You have to take those beats. You have to come back strong.
How many times
and
have we?
Thinking,
yeah. And how many times have you seen me with one or two blinds in front of us and we come back and win a tournament?
Sure,
we never give up. You can't ever give up.
No.
No. You must
so just
fight.
ask yourself how you're going to get those chips back, and don't choir over the problem of, Jesus Christ, this guy just sucked out on me.
Yeah.
And all my chips are gone. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. You can't do that. You have to stay focused the entire tournament.
Absolutely.
And God bless you, and thank you for having me on your show. I really
you're very welcome. Relating to one thing that James said, it was funny. He said everybody comes, they want to say they have a story that beat James, right? Like even I was telling people earlier on the show today was, we're playing this private game in D.C., and Phil Hellmuth raised to 300. This guy called. I 8x it to 2,300 because the game was playing like really big. And the guy just, he goes, I'm all in. And I just knew he wouldn't have flatted Phil with a big pair. And I call and I'm like, do you have anything? He's like, no, I just want to play a big pot with you to tell my friends that I played a big pot with you. Right. And like the flop came on the first board, deuce 5-9, or deuce 6-9, 3 king. Phil goes, take it, Mike. And then the second board, the flop comes deuce 5-9, king, and Phil goes, take it, Mike. And the guy, I had pocket queens, and the guy flirts over king queen offsuit. He had all three of his outs on both boards. And
my God.
Yeah, that was $20K. And Phil had 40% of me, so it cost Phil $8K. He was already buried in the game. And so it was pretty funny. He's like, Jesus, how bad are we running? The same guy did the exact same thing to Phil about 20 minutes earlier. He like 4-bet shoved Phil and Phil had pocket tens, and the board comes 10, 8, 7, 9 on the turn. And the guy showed him ace-6 offsuit. And the very next board, he flopped an ace, and he beat Phil twice for 12,000 each, 24,000. So Phil was going crazy. But, same reason. He wanted to play a big pot, just to tell people he played a big pot with Phil. So I totally understand where James was coming from on that. So it's pretty funny.
I understand where he's coming from. And, to be honest, I can never be in the mindset of those people. I don't understand how they can think like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, these people, like we play with, when you play with people that are worth 500 million, the 10,000's like $1. You have to, it's all money related. Think about like, even when, you remember when I had all the money, it's like, if I could never play 50 and 100, or like, it took me a year to learn how to play 100, 200 again. I played for 18 years, 400, 800. So, I couldn't play good. So I could totally understand. It'd be like like me playing, if I'm playing 50 and 100 no limit, it would be me playing like $1 and $2. So, it's like $1 and $2. You throw $100 in. That's like that guy putting 10,000 in. It's all relevant to your bankroll.
Yeah.
You know,
It is.
they said
it's
the
also
guy.
like, do you remember the times at the Bellagio where Doyle and Chip would come and play in our Omaha game at a lower level, like 1 and 2 or 153?
Yeah.
These guys are used to playing 1 and 2,000.
Right.
And not that they were lost, but they didn't.
No, they didn't care. They were just
mentality that we did.
Yeah, of course. And it's all money related, and the guy
they didn't care.
Yeah,
exactly.
The guys I were playing with said that they kind of build the game around this guy, and he's worth like $500 million, which okay, that makes sense, But I mean, it sucked that I grinded all day to be 10K winner and then to lose it in that hand. But like the good part about it is I quit right after that, and Phil had 20% of me in the game that played real small, and then 40% of me in that game that I lost. So even though I won 10 and lost 10, I still won 2,000, but Phil lost more.
Wow.
But it was all good, man. Thanks for coming on, John. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody out there enjoyed listening to having Miami John on the show.
Well, I do have to give a shout out to the shout-outs. Did I say shout-out? Shout-out to the McVeys in Toronto.
Okay.
Kai and Elaine in Port Orange, and Don and Greg in Port Orange, and of course James Woods. They said they were going to tune in and listen to us tonight. So
great.
There's their shout, and sure, it's great talking to you again, buddy.
You got it, buddy. And let's go to old school this year, and me and you head up at the Omaha 8 or Better event at the World Series.
Okay, buddy.
Let's do it. You got it, buddy. Take care. Thanks, buddy. Bye. All right. So, everybody, anybody out there got any questions?
We have one guy who really wants you to call him back.
Yeah, well, what do you guys think? Should we call this guy back? Yes? No? All right, let's call. What's what we do here on the Mouthpiece? This is what we do here on the Mouthpiece. We call our people back. Let's see what.
Something about being a GTO bot.
I don't know.
Hello.
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's Mike.
Mike, how's it going?
You're live on the air. I saw you wanted us to call you back. What's going on?
Oh, Mikey, this is Max. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, Max, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I have some questions for you.
Okay, you got it.
You got some time?
Well, I mean, I got a couple minutes. Let's go. What do you got?
Oh, great. Well, I got some questions for you. Let's just go. Let's start from the top. I assume someone's asked you this question earlier, but if you had to put a percentage on it, what percentage chance do you think the World Series will get canceled?
0.
0%?
0, 0, 0, 0. The only way it gets canceled is if the United States has a complete shutdown of all air traffic in and to the United States, which is never going to happen, and that's it. 0. 12 to 1. I want to lay 12 to 1 for all the money. Matter of fact, I want to bet it now, but I'd have to put my whole bankroll up to even make like 5,000. So it's 0. I mean,
all right,
that's it.
So I'll ask you. I have a follow-up question to that, but I'll ask you my second question first.
Go ahead.
What percentage of players at the World Series of Poker during break, after they go to the bathroom, do you think wash their hands?
Not enough. I watch this. And you know what?
Right.
One of the best years we ever had, about 7 years ago, they had, when you walked in and out of the Amazon room, there was soap or hand sanitizer dispensers on the walls, and they took them out. But that was like probably the only year I never got sick. And the truth of the matter is like what Geraldo says is kind of funny. It's like they have the Rio flu there every year. They had the Legionnaire's disease like 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I got MRSA staph infection where I was playing four-handed for a bracelet, and my whole entire inside of my leg was the size of a softball. The pain was so bad. At 2 a.m, I'm like, I got to win this. And then I end up not following my read and grenading the tournament. The next day, they cut the whole fucking chunk out of my leg where I had to miss the main event. So it is a breeding ground for all viruses.
Right, so they're trying to cancel the Olympics in Tokyo.
Well, what they're doing.
It's all spread out. You have different arenas, but everybody at the Rio, they all jam into one area in a couple small rooms, and everyone's sitting around a table breathing in each other's spaces.
Yeah.
So how is that going to work?
Well, you don't understand. The reason why, Japan is on lockdown right now is because the Olympics coming up, okay? They have to make sure that they know that everything is safe for the Olympics. So when people are like, why isn't the United States on lockdown? Well, first of all, Trump was on January 24th, he suspended all flights in and out of China, okay, which is why there's nothing spread to the United States. But the fake news wants to just say that Trump doesn't have anything under control, and this is what they're doing is they're trying to another political hit job on Trump because he can't lose the election, so they know it. So they're just trying to mortally wound him any way they can, So, I saw this coming 3 months ago. If Bernie was going to look like the nominee they knew they were dead, that they were going to try and do what they're doing. I mean, to politicize something like this is just awful. This would be one of the best times ever for both sides to try and put the country together, to say your government is behind you, we're all in this together. Instead, they want to keep dividing because they don't care about anybody. It's all about power and control, and they just don't care. And that's why I've been kind of on a tweet storm today, and I've been going crazy.
I saw it.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed for myself because of it. But the fact is that I saw this coming months ago, and I've been talking about it every day to people I know on my podcast that they're going to try and politicize. I mean, the fucking headline in the New York Times today, the coronavirus should be called the Trump virus. Are you kidding me? These are sick fucking people, They don't care about anybody. They care about their fucking politics. It's just, man, it's just unbelievable.
So all of my questions were percentage based. Question number 1, percentage of World Series is canceled. You said 0.
0.
Question number 2, percentage of poker players that wash their hand during break. What's that answer?
I would say
10, 50,
50%.
Okay.
I want to know the percentage
really
I want to know the percentage of how often Mike the Mouth washes his hands after going to the bathroom. Especially when you piss in the parking lot, dude.
Me? I don't I want people to fucking have my piss on their fucking hands. Are you kidding? Fuck them.
Who is that? Is that your editor?
That's my editor. Yeah.
Piss is sterile. Like somebody said in the chat, wash your hands before you go piss. Piss is sterile.
Yeah, there you go. So
excellent.
But I've seen people in the bathrooms not wash their hands. I'm like, really?
Of course not. Yeah, that's the bigger problem. And then they touch the chips or the cards, and the cards get spread around.
Well, when I got the MRSA 2 years ago, my doctor said it's not as you think that. He goes, MRSA is on those chips. So what it was is like I probably scratched the side of my fucking leg or my nuts or something, and that's when it got on the side of my leg. And he's like, MRSA, people think that, he says it grows on shit like that. Now, listen, I know it. I truly believe 3 months from now, it's not even going to be around, this virus. Okay. If it is still around, it's because they want it still around for political reasons. But we'll see what happens in 3 months. But if it is, I want to make a $10,000 bet with somebody that the numbers aren't even down. Okay, I just don't. People are degens. They're not skipping the World Series of poker. They're just not. Just not.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, I got 6 questions for you, and then 7th if you get through them all.
Wow.
All right.
Hurry up, man. I don't got all night, man.
Oh, I know it. Over under Astros hit by pitch during the regular season.
The number is 83.5. I take the under.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I know what the number is. I already know the number. I take under. I've already told you. Go ahead.
Percentage chance Brady actually leaves New England.
50, 60, 40. I think he's coming to Vegas.
You actually think it's a greater chance that he leaves New England?
Yes, I do.
All right.
They want to make a splash, and they wanted to do it with Antonio Brown. It didn't pan out. They need to be all in. They're going all in on the draft. They want to have a shot at winning a title in year 1 in Vegas. I think Brady's coming to Vegas.
All right.
I'm a big Brady fan. I'm hoping. I hate the Raiders, but I'm a big Brady fan. Go ahead.
All right, 5. Trump loses the election. What's the percentage chance?
0 if it's Bernie Sanders.
I agree with you. Okay. All right, 6. Name a percentage. Mikey wins a bracelet in 2020.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I keep making all these final tables, and then I get fucked. Come
on, give me 50%.
20%.
That's good.
You want me? I don't want to overhype myself. I want to be honest. You know.
Hey, I like it. If you can stay healthy, you have a good.
Yeah, I'll be at a couple final tables, but if you get to a final table with 8 people, I mean, you got to run good at a final table. So, 20%.
For sure. All right, last question. I'm a mixed game professional, I guess.
Okay.
In low stakes, so I am the number 1 client of your product that's coming out.
Okay.
Why should I buy it? And when is it coming?
Because I am the best Omaha 8 or better player in the world. I am one of the best stud 8 or better tournament players in the world. And I plan on sharing my info with people because of the fact that I'm not able to play enough where if people learn how I play, it's going to cost me more than I will make teaching people. In other words,
absolutely.
In the old days, teaching people, it probably cost me $1 million. You understand?
Sure.
I can't play enough to make that $1 million. Playing games.
I understand that.
And
you can't sit for long sessions anymore.
Correct. I can't play longer than 6 hours, and I'm to the point in my life where I enjoy the podcast. I enjoy helping people, and I am going to basically give people knowledge about Omaha 8 or better that nobody thinks about. Like somebody came up to me, was telling me why I was wrong to fold a certain hand pre-flop that I folded in the 50K or whatever, and that they're trying to say I suck at Omaha 8. They told Daniel. Isaac Haxton said that to Daniel because I folded the 6, 7, 8 jack double suited, and then Jungle Man's like, well, we ran all these sims of why it's profitable to call there. I'm like, good. You guys run those sims based on hand versus hand. I run my thought process of who folded what in what position, knowing what's coming on the flop because of what cards are live. So you play your way, I'll play my way. Have a nice day. I go, when you make as many final tables as I have at the Omaha 8 or better, then you could talk to me. Until then, have a nice day. So that's it. That's the thing about the analytics, and so many people who are so math-based in poker is math is not the all equal of poker. There's a lot more to it than just math. I mean, there just is, especially tournaments. A cash game, you play all math.
Yeah.
You play all math in cash. In tournaments, you play all, you make one mistake. Let's just say the pot's laying you 5-1 and you're 4-1 dog, but you call and your tournament's over. I mean, I'm just not calling or risking my chips there. Where in a cash game, I'm always going to call. You see what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, for sure. So Haxton's a no limit and maybe a PLO Pro. So
yeah.
In other games outside of that, I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But anyways, what's the price point and when can we see your product?
Well, I was hoping to have it before the World Series out,
Okay.
and but I'm not quite sure if it will be because my health has been really took a really bad turn lately backwards the last like 2.5 months, and it's been fucking just brutal. So it's kind of the reason why I've missed a couple weeks of the podcast, because I mean I haven't even been able to get out of bed, and when I went to fucking DC, I knew I'd be in pain, but I didn't think it would be that bad, and it ended up being like a total nightmare. And ever since I got back, it's been a nightmare. But I got on some prednisone. It helped with the inflammation. I'm feeling good now. So hopefully if I could keep feeling good, that's going to give me a chance to get everything done before the World Series, including getting my book out, which is probably more important than getting that site up before the World Series. So
Sounds cool, Mikey. Feel better, man.
Hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Tell all your friends listen to the Mouthpiece, man. Have a good one.
Do. Later.
All right, everyone. Episode 36. Year 2 is in the books. Great episode. Miami John. A guest appearance by the one and only real James Woods. That was a surprise appearance. And good to hear from him. I love you all. I love everyone. I'm sorry I won't be at the LAPC this week. I'll be talking about how things are going next week, as well as whatever else is going on in the world. See y'all next week on The Mouthpiece.
The Mouthpiece.